And this is your wake-up call. Well, this morning as we get started on our almost last day of the week, I know many people get excited about Friday. For us, Friday is a little bit of an anxiety igniter as we're trying to get the church ready for an open house and rededication and prayer and Thanksgiving service on Sunday evening. And you know, we had to stop for a moment this week and think that we just need to be thankful for what God has done. And you know, when we have events like this, maybe special events at our house or at church or wherever it might be, we always want things to be perfect. And in that, looking at wanting to be things to be perfect, we sometimes fail to realize or recognize what great things God has done. Well, in Psalms 126, the psalmist here, now this is probably Ezra, more than likely Ezra, or one of the others from one of the prophets from being released from Babylon, as they came out of their captivity. That's more than likely when this was written. Most scholars agree on that. And so Psalm 126 and verse 2, I want you to read this with me this morning. It says, "When our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue was singing, then said they among the heathen, the Lord hath done great things for them. The Lord hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad." Now, something very important here is nothing listed in these two verses was about us or what we did. It was all about what God has done. And I want to encourage you with that this morning as you end your week. Let's make it about what God has done, and we will fall short. We'll not always measure up, and most of the time we're going to just come up short, and we need to focus on what God has done. You say, well, God hasn't done any great thing in my life. Well, He certainly has. If you're redeemed by His marvelous grace, then that was a great thing that God's done in your life. It is the greatest thing that you could have ever experienced is God's redemption. And He not only redeemed you, but He justified you. He robed you in His righteousness and made it just as you had never sinned and made you complete that you could stand before the Father. So God hath done great things. Well, beyond that, God hath done great things in our lives. And each of us on an individual basis should be able to reflect and review on the week that we've had and the year that we've had, and through the troubles and the trials and the heartaches and the hard things that come upon us, we still should be able to look back and say, God has done great things. It's oftentimes that after we're released from maybe some captive thing that held us down in our life, that we fail to remember what great things God has done. While it was Israel after their release from Babylon that they began to wane, they had some good times of studying the scriptures and prayer and thanksgiving, and then they began to just veer off for a little bit. It happened when they were released from Egypt. Over and over and over, you read the whole book of Judges and you'll find where we forget that God does great things in our life. So let's remember this today. Let's be reminded of the scripture says every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father above. And so let's be reminded of this. God hath done great things, and we're not mad about it. Let's be glad about it, and let's declare it among a lost and dying world that needs the hope of the gospel this morning. Well, as I said yesterday, I hope that you will make plans to join us at 4 p.m. on Sunday for prayer and dedication and Thanksgiving. And we're going to have a meal afterwards and fellowship and open house, and we'll be able to tell you about what's been done in the last 11 months. But also would like to invite you at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. We'll be having worship service in the sanctuary, and it's sure to be a good time as God's people meet together to worship Him. Well, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I pray